Hello scientists, hope you're ready for a day of hard work and science experimenting. Wait, hold on a minute, you're not my scientists. You're new recruits, or we better get you started on some of the basics. Hope you've all downloaded the Professor Pluto app so you can answer any questions that I give you. So is everybody ready? Well, let me introduce you to my assistant, Einstein. Go on, Einstein.
Professor!
Say hello to our new recruits.
What recruits? Whoa! You guys sure did sneak up on me. I didn't hear you at all.
Well, you know what? It's funny that you should say that, Einstein, since today we're going to be talking about sound.
Sound?
Yeah, that's right. What you're all hearing now is sound.
Ooh. But how do we hear it? Why can't we see it?
Well, sound, Einstein, is actually caused by vibrations. When we talk, a bit like what I'm doing now, our mouths are making the air vibrate. Those vibrations make tiny changes in the air pressure around us. They're only small changes, but our ears are extremely sensitive to them. The more the pressure changes around us, the louder things sound.
Wow, that's amazing, Professor!
Well, yes, and I tell you what, do you know, Einstein, that actually there are some people out there that study sound, and I managed to catch up with them. So do you want to see how I got on?
Oh, yeah, sure I do.
Well, just take a look over there and see how I got on.
Sound is the vibrations in air that we can hear. The speed of sound in air at room temperature is about 340 meters per second. This means that in 1 second, sound moves 340 meters. The speed varies with temperature. So at the top of a mountain, where the air is cooler, sound travels slower. Where at the bottom of the mountain, sound travels faster because the air is warmer. The more the vibrations move, the more energy the particles have, and therefore the louder the sound. The faster vibrations move, the higher the frequency that is created. Our ears start to deteriorate as we get older, and this means that we can hear fewer frequencies. Some animals can hear more frequencies than we can, such as whales and elephants, which can hear very low frequencies, below 20 Hz. This is called infrasound. Thunderstorms create these low frequencies, which elephants use to help them find water. Other animals, such as bats, can hear very high frequencies, above 20 kHz. This is called ultrasound. Bats use these high frequencies to help them navigate in the dark. In a vacuum, like outer space, there is no air, and the particles that are there are so far apart that they couldn't possibly vibrate with each other. This means sound cannot be heard in a vacuum. It is quite difficult and quite expensive to completely stop sound. However, we can significantly reduce its volume using sound absorption. Soft materials such as curtains trap the sound and convert the energy into heat. Hard surfaces like glass reflect the sound, and this is why it can be difficult to hear noise through closed windows. Tuning forks, when hit, produce a certain frequency. This one is at 440 Hz. Musicians use these to help them tune to their instruments.
What's that, Professor?
This, Einstein, is a tuning fork. This tuning fork is at 440 Hz.
Hurt? My ears hurt after hearing that. Ow!
No, Einstein, Hertz is what we use to measure sound. Since this sound is at 440 Hz, that means it's emitting 440 vibrations every single second.
Wow.
If a sound has a high-pitch Hertz number, it will sound high-pitch like this. And if it has a low Hertz-pitch number, it will sound low-pitch a bit like this. High-pitched sounds are so fast, it's really hard to see them. But luckily for us, low-pitched sounds are a bit slower. So, I have a good way of showing them this to you. Come on and follow me over here, Einstein.
How, Professor? How? Tell me.
Well, what I have here is a speaker, a bit like one that our friends will probably have at home. And watch what happens, though, when I play a low-pitched sound through my mobile phone.
Ooh.
Can you see that over here? Look, Einstein.
Ooh,
The grains of rice that I have placed on the top of the speaker move around, caused a lot by the vibrations because the sound is so low pitch. But just watch what happens when I change the low pitch sound to high pitch.
Ooh, you can see the lights moving.
No, you can't, can you? That's because the vibrations are moving that quick due to the high-pitched sound. Right, so it's now time then for our first question. So if you take a look at your Professor Pluto app and answer either with A, B or C, can you remember what the tuning fork's frequency was from earlier on in the show? Was it A, 220 Hz, B, 440 Hz, or C, 660 Hz? And we'll find out how many of you got that right at the end of the show. Now that we've seen the vibrations, we need to know how sound moves.
I didn't know sound moved.
It does, Einstein. Of course, so that's how it reaches our ears. Once a sound is emitted from something, a bit like our mouths, it travels out from all directions in the form of waves. A bit like seen in this video. Just take a look over there again, Einstein, and see.
Ooh. But that was just water.
Well, Einstein, see how the waves all move out from the drop once it hits the water? That's exactly how sound travels out from its source. But of course, sound travels in all directions.
Oh.
As the sound moves out, it starts to get quieter. This is because the energy changes from the moving vibrations to heat energy.
Oh, so that means that when we talk, we are actually heating up the world around us?
That's right, but only a very tiny bit, Einstein.
Well, keep talking then, because it's cold in here. My tail feathers are chilly.
I don't think you'll be able to tell off just me and you, Einstein. We'll need our scientists at home to be here with us before we'll notice any difference. When a sound hits the surface like a wall, some of the vibrations bounce off it and some even go through it. That's why if we cover our mouths and we talk, we still hear our muffled voices. Just try it now, Einstein. Can you hear that? You can still hear me and I can still hear you briefly. But softer materials let more pass through it than hard materials. This is because of the amount of air inside materials, which is why if you stand behind a curtain, it's easier to be heard than if you stand behind a door.
Did I hear you say sounds bounce?
Yes, Einstein, that's
Wow.
right. Sound that bounces off materials a lot like this. Just look at over here. Look, you see here I've got this tennis ball. If I just bounce it, just like that, the sound bounces back. And there's a big difference between you and where the sound bounces. We hear an echo, like what we do in caves.
Ooh, echo, 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 echo.
Now, sometimes, Einstein, we need a little more peace and quiet, and we can get that by soundproofing something, a bit like our bedroom. A lot of singers use soundproof rooms to record themselves, so nobody else can hear them.
But how does it work, Professor?
Well, the walls of a soundproof room are usually not flat. In fact, they're a bit like the shape of this egg box. Can you see this egg box here?
Oh.
See how the shape of it is jagged and sort of in all different angles? Well, that redirects the sound in lots of different ways. That means the sound is spread out. So much that gets through is really, really fast. The sound gets through all the walls really, really quickly.
Oh.
The walls are usually soft so that they can absorb the sound coming into them. Soft, non-flat surfaces, just a bit like this egg box, make for the best soundproofing.
And this all helps to keep sound quiet?
Yes, and did you know that some buildings are actually built on springs to help absorb the sound vibrations?
Oh, this is all very complicated. Too much for me.
Well, I hope my scientists are keeping up because it's time to answer another question. Just load up your apps and answer with A, B or C. Can you remember from my talk with Kian, the acoustic student, what the speed of sound is? Is it A, 340 metres per second, B, 180 metres per second, or C, 500 metres per second?
Oh, I think I know this one.
And do you know what, Einstein? I think I know the answer too. Another good way, though, to get rid of sound is to get rid of what sound travels through. Now, that can be air, water, or even some solids. In space, there are none of these things, and because of that, sound can't travel at all. So space is what we call a vacuum because, well, there is no air at all. If we remove all the air from a lab, there is no sound and we would be able to travel. So me and you wouldn't be able to even hear each other at all. Can you imagine that, Einstein?
Oh, that would be amazing. A bit of peace and quiet, finally.
Einstein, No, that's not very nice at all. Well, my new recruits, I hope you've all learnt something about sound today, and I hope you've had some fun along the way too. But before we go, let's quickly see how many of you got the questions right from today's show. Wow, look, can you see that, Einstein? Look, 94% of you knew that the tuning fork, congratulations, was indeed at 440 hertz, and 70% of you remembered that 340 meters per second was the speed of the sound.
That was amazing. Good job, guys.
Yeah, good job indeed. And don't forget as well, thanks for watching, and you can keep on answering questions, as the top 10 scientists and their parents that answer the most questions correctly are going to win a very special prize. Can you believe what this is? It's a tour, Einstein, around London's Science Museum and the Museum of Natural History, guided by myself, Professor Pluto.
And 20 runners-up will also get a free Professor Pluto science kit, like this one you see here.
Yeah, that's right, just like the kit over here by the side of my desk. But make sure your parents register your app to be in with a chance of winning. And if you want to learn more about today's show and the topic of sound for your school or just your own enjoyment, just visit the BBC Bite Size at the address on screen or the link on the Professor Pluto app for everything about vibrations and sound. I hope you guys, though, will come back soon when we'll be going back millions and millions of years ago when dinosaurs walked the earth. That's going to be fun, isn't it, Einstein?
Dinosaurs.
We'll all see you then. Goodbye now.
Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.